let's just try to go into this like it's an unknown book that's new and people haven't heard of this author and this book forever and ever maybe. Except that would be boring for people who have heard of it and they don't want to just hear the description and the plot again. We're doing the intro for Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson today. And when I tell you guys I am nervous, I am so nervous. This is actually my second try at trying to film this because I feel supremely underqualified to talk about a book such as this. As beloved and well known. And yeah, some people don't like it. I get that. But let's get into all of that in a minute. I'm Morgan. If this happens to be your first time clicking on my channel, and yeah, I do reviews. I haven't been this nervous to do a review in a while. I'm gonna hopefully not babble too much after this intro. I have notes. The world building of the book in the series is one of the things that I love the absolute most because Sanderson creates such an interesting and intricate world where even in the first book on the first read, I probably did not notice things or latch on to that this is important because it's a kernel of something that will come later on. Where this book takes place within the Cosmere that is the Sanderson universe he's created is on the world of Roshar. It is a planet covered in storms. Well, one storm, a high storm that forms in one side and sweeps across to the other one. They're roughly able to predict when they will happen, roughly. Even the plant life, though, has adapted for these huge, horrible storms because plants will suck into themselves. There is not grass, except on one little portion of the planet that is protected from the high storms, that the high storms don't make it over that part. And they find those people weird because they have grass. You will not find animals with fur for most of the planet, it seems like. No, most things have a carapace and a hard shell layer. The storms, though, also emit this stormlight, which powers up gemstones so where they glow. And they use these gemstones to create fabrials, which science. This is the science of the world. Inventions of like heating devices, lightings. Then there are the spren, which are like spirits that are connected to everything. They have pain spren, rot spren, which are, I say spirits, but there's just these little things that show up everywhere when there's something happening. Rain spren, wind spren. Most of them are formless, and flame spren might be the color of dancing flames. There is a lot of intricateness to the world building, and that's not even touching on the lore of generations of desolations. Like, they are only at like, I think 11,000 years of written history, of known history. Before that, it is lost because there would be these civilization ending events and they would happen again and again. But at this last one, humanity won. But every time there was a desolation, there would be the 10 heralds that would come and they would teach humanity how to make weapons again, how to fight, how to defend themselves. And when they would come, they would form the Knights Radiant. And each herald would have their own order of knights. But all of this has been lost. All of the magic that they possessed, that they knew how to use, and the creations that they knew how to use, has been lost. We have weapons now. We have regular bows and arrows and swords and shields and spears. We have all of that. And there's also a very unique sort of weapon called shards, shard plates and shard blades. There's a very limited amount of these though on Roshar. They are highly coveted and fought over. Okay, one last thing in the world building, maybe the characters, should probably be the class system. See, in their Vorin religion doctrine passed down is that bright-eyed people are the ruling class chosen by the Almighty, whereas dark-eyed people like dark brown, black, even gray, dark gray, very interesting, they are the lower class to be ruled over. Within both of these, bright and dark though, they have different castes known as nons, and depending on what non you are will depend on your rights of how high you are. One of our characters, he started off his life as second non, meaning he had the right to travel between countries and such. So, you know, you're subjugated to, you're not even supposed to leave your own country or certain places. I mean, if you were a soldier, of course, recruited into the army, then that would change. You would travel with the army, but just different little things. The magic, though, has been lost, so we can't really talk about the magic in this one, which is such a shame because it is a very, very interesting system. Maybe I put it in the spoilers. I don't know yet. I have not decided. I want this to be kind of a small review probably, and we're babbling again. As in most epic fantasies, there are a lot of characters that we are going to be seeing from, but there are 3 that I feel are the main drivers of this particular book and the series overall. That's going to be Kaladin Stormblessed, because I don't remember his last name. Kaladin, though, is a dark-eyed soldier who, when we first meet him, is a slave. And Kaladin is a very depressed person. He's been through a lot of stuff, and throughout this book, he will be the character that you get to see the most of his backstory from, as not every chapter. He will have dedicated chapters that go into the past at different points in his life, telling his backstory, how he got to this, how he became the person he is. But when you meet him, he's in a very dark place, and it doesn't get better for a long time. Though you will learn through the series that Kaladin definitely suffers from depression, because he has highs and lows, and for seemingly, no reason as what would things like that happen, he loses all of his will, he loses all of this, and it's not always seemingly. When he suffers any sort of setback, kind of, especially in regards to other people, without saying anything, it hits so hard. Kaladin feels responsible for everything, and he's also trained roughly in the ways of a surgeon, because his father is a surgeon and he was his apprentice and was going to become a surgeon. That was his goal until events. Then we have Shalon Navar. She is a bright-eyed lady from Yakoved, but due to certain circumstances, her house has fallen on very hard times. So she is going to become the ward of a very renowned scholar who's also kind of a heretic, but she believes going to find Yasna will change her fate. And throughout this book, she is proving to Yasna that she deserves to be her ward, that she's smart enough. Shalon has also had very interesting life events and backstory, which will be more explored in other books. You do get brief glimpses, and Shalon is purposely shutting those glimpses down, though don't think about it, she'll say several times. So there's that. She's also a very, very skilled artist, like incredibly skilled. Dalinar is the king of Alethkar's uncle, and the brother to the previous king who actually united all of the little individual princedoms to form Alethkar again, because it had not been a unified country in a very long time. However, events happened, and now Alethkar as a group is at war. Except Dalinar has kind of lost the drive for battle. He still wants vengeance. He still seeks to, help his country, help his nephew. But this individual drive for battle is not in him as much as everyone else. So they are considering him weak. They are saying he no longer has the will. He's just too old for it. And the fact that he's having visions does not help this. But his visions have a purpose. And there is definitely a need for them. And do they help? Only a little bit. Do they hurt Dalinar? Slightly, a lot of it. The plot of this book is following our 3 characters in different storylines until at least 2 of them do merge together. We are at the Shattered Plains, where Kaladin has been brought and Dalinar has been fighting in this siege warfare with Alethkar versus the Parshindi, because the Parshindi murdered the king of Alethkar during a peace treaty, and no one knows why. So they are there for vengeance, and they have been there for at least a decade. And it's not really war anymore so much as just a game to the High Princes to hunt these giant creatures for giant gem hearts. Money. They are playing war for money at this point. And Dalinar doesn't want that anymore. He wants to follow the codes of honor. He is a very honorable person, and he wants to actually get vengeance. He wants to understand because he feels all of this is connected, especially because of the words of his brother there at the end of his life. There's Kaladin's story as he is trying to get past his grief, get past his state in life, which is a very horrible state since, as I said, when we meet him, he's a slave. And him discovering certain things. Dalinar has visions. Kaladin is discovering new abilities. That touches into spoilers. But all three of our characters are finding out about this very, very old magic-y powers of things. And it's all coming into play differently in each of their stories and each of their lives. Shallan is trying to become Yasna's ward and studying under Yasna, who is a scholar. So they are at Kharbranth, which is a city known for its healers and its hospitals and its library. They have one of the biggest collections of knowledge in the world. And Shallan and Yasna are there trying to find something very particular. Some almost spoiler thoughts that kind of are, but might be vague enough that I do not need to section these off. I loved how, I didn't notice it before, but reading through this book, it really stuck out to me how opposite Shallan and Kaladin's discoveries are. As I said, each character is definitely finding out things that, were lost. We're finding out new things again, that are part of the lore, that are part of the magic of this world. Kaladin's is very, very in the open, kind of like Dalinar's, except, Dalinar's getting visions, Kaladin's getting others. And Shallan's is not. Hers is very in the background. You're not sure what is going on with Shallan. And even in this book, it's only briefly hinted at, almost to where she thinks she's just going nuts. That is the difference. Kaladin's is very, very open, and he is already progressing through learning of it. Where Shallan, it's not. She's getting hints at stuff almost, and then she's almost seeing things, but it is all very hidden with her, but you can tell that something is happening. And a secondary thing that I didn't remember ever hearing about in the first book, but it was plainly there, and it was written off as a paranoia by Elokar, the king of Alethi, Dalinar's nephew. And Yasna Kholin, who Shallan is studying under, is Elokar's sister. You will discover something about Yasna later. However, knowing that already and hearing something Elokar says in this book, and I'm like, really? Is that normal to have siblings associate with the same? But then also, we can find out in later books, which I should not be saying in this review, that not all siblings, will have that either. Shallan has brothers, and she's the only one. And Adolin and Renarin, and it's only Renarin, though it could be because Adolin has the Shardplate. So, one last thing that I thought of, so I had to put it back over here. The Oath Pact, from the very beginning, that the Heralds made. Who did they make that with again? Should I know that? Should I remember that? Because I really don't. I might go dig into the copper mine here in a little bit, because I really don't remember. Why are they there? Who is doing that to them that caused this whole thing to happen? Realistically, though, is it bad that they did that? I mean, it's kind of bad that they did that, but it also created, it seems like, a longer period of peace that they did that. We were able to get to progress. We forgot some things, though. Forgot very important things and made bad things happen, but I rescued the cat, and I'm thinking I shouldn't say anything else. Let's just move on into the rating. When I first read this, it was a 4 stars, and I think that was just going more off of my feelings. I used the spreadsheet this time around, and it's a 4.5. I can agree with this because, going back and just seeing it and noticing things like the seeds of things that will grow into things, and it was just great to see things and remember things. And I have a new questions because the character work is beautiful. Like, you feel for these characters. You get connected to these characters. And I didn't think a huge character reader. But you feel like you know these characters. Especially the ones that's particularly looked at in this book. Like I said, Kaladin gets all the backstory in this book. The next book, we will have flashbacks for a different character. Each book will give us more depth to a specific character. I feel like I babbled a lot in this review though, but hopefully it was interesting descriptions. I feel like take 2 of this video, filming it the second time, went better, if not more concise. I promise I had notes, even if we didn't really use them. Maybe though I have encouraged you to pick up the book, or you just like the way I talk about it, and you can go check out some of my other videos and subscribe to the channel and stick around for more books. We will be reading book 2 next month and doing the review for that one, as we will do every book until December, when the last one in this particular time period, because it's supposed to be a 10-book series, but it cuts off at 5. And then it starts another one. She's going to get into something. I hope you're having an awesome day, finding something great to read today, though, and that you'll come back for more so I can see you in the next one. I gotta go get the cat.